All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, dude.
You're entering a totally different phase of your life. That's hard to maybe wrap your head around, or there's a lot of uncertainty that goes into it. Like, how do you cope with that now, and like leading into maybe this last year of your career? For people that they want to be where you are now, but they're not thinking about the end game when you might have to give it all up and you have to move on.
I asked this question to another pro bodybuilder, and I said, hey, I'm having a really hard time with watching people compete on the pro stage, knowing that I need and deserve to be there. I said, how did you cope with it? And he looked me dead in the eyes and he said, Sadik, I never have. And I think as a man, I don't think you're ever going to make peace with any unfinished business, or even when your body deteriorates. For me to get down on the floor and play with my son, I don't feel the same way I did in my 20s. Like, it's hindering my ability to play with my son. Or, in the gym, your strength and the achiness of your joints is hindering your ability to give it all in the gym. Or even as you get older, when your hands start to get shaky and you can't be handy, or, you can't keep up with the changes of the world. I see it in my father. My father's a really guys, a go-getter just like myself, and he's having just a hard time juggling to switch from pen and paper to emails and online registrations and passwords. And I get it, and we're all going to go through that transition of uncomfortability. I'm not there yet, but I see it, and I can see how people struggle with it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how I'm going to cope. I don't think I'm ever going to cope. Even winning the Olympia, some ways I feel like my career, my life has been better never winning the Olympia. I spoke to this with Jeremy before, or maybe I attempted to speak about it, and like, I was always extremely jealous of his success at the Olympia, because I truly believe that I deserve to beat him. And I was extremely jealous, and it was toxic, and it was everything, all the above. And he won the Olympia at a young age, and he had an issue like dealing with the fame and the comments and the pressure of being on top. And I feel me as runner up, like, people were rooting for me and they were encouraged by me, and they were like, come on, Sadiq, you can do it, you can do it this year, you can do it, you can do it, and in some aspects, maybe it's been a benefit to me, and it's been a benefit to my sponsorships and my paychecks and my contracts and my endorsements and my humbleness. Maybe it taught me a lesson that I need to persevere and never give up and keep showing up. And hey, maybe the real victory is, the real victory is my family, is my career, is my respect that I have in a sport, my health. So you got to kind of redefine success, and what is success to you. And the short-term success is a fucking fat ass check and a dope car and a hot chick, and that's success in the short term. But what's long-term success? It's the relationships, it's the family, it's the health. Because when you don't have those things, like I said, man, there's no trophy and there's no title that would ever visit you in a hospital bed.
Yeah, but I also don't. I mean, I know you on a personal level, and I know YouTube is a layer removed from that. But I also don't think people understand where you started versus where you are now. Yes, in bodybuilding, you have certain goals, but your life goals have changed among the years of competing. And you've added multiple variables into play and have still been able to perform at a high level. And now I think your goals in bodybuilding are different than they were 10 years ago. And people hold you to the same standard of Sadik, who's been the first call out, runner up at the Olympia 2 times. And that was when maybe you didn't have kids, or you didn't have, a lot of other things to focus on. Like, your goal in bodybuilding now is completely different than it was 10 years ago. But people still hold you to the standard of wanting to win the Olympia, be the best in the world. This is your only focus, the only thing you have to deal with. And that's where I think people misunderstand and go wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm having a hard time dealing with that myself. You know me on a personal level. There's a lot of turmoil inside my soul also. I took 3 years off of competition for the birth of my son, losing a kid in the process as well. And then coming back to stage, requalifying for Olympia, and then I get sick, looking the best I've ever looked and the oldest I've ever been. And then wanting to have a daughter, taking another year and a half off for that, and then coming back to stage. Let's face it, I'm a man and I'm a goal seeking creature, and I judge my worth. It's to my own detriment, but I judge my worth based upon my achievements, my bank account, the titles I win, the standard of which people hold me to when it's out in the street or even in the YouTube comments. I tend to have thick skin, but to be honest, even the guys with the thickest skin, like, things could penetrate. My goals are different in terms of being the best father I could possibly be will outweigh any bodybuilding title that there possibly is. And I know that because when I'm old, nobody from Mr. Olympia is going to come visit me, but my kids will. And that's as long as I invest in that now. With that being said, I still want to compete and I still want to improve and I still am improving. It's just that there's so many layers and so much red tape to cut through in order for me to perform at the highest level. And I'm just having a difficult time managing how to do that. But yet, I still do it year after year.
Success is a little bit of cockiness, confidence, delusion, but I think you're one of the more realistic people I know, and you're a hyper realist. And I don't think people understand that, like, your expectations for this year and even last year were pretty realistic. Where do you see this year going? What are your goals for this year?
Yeah, I mean, I could do it, but at what cost? At the cost of my two children that are upstairs playing, at the cost of hearing little giggles, at the cost of seeing my daughter and my son get married, at the cost of seeing grandchildren. I mean, I've done 30 pro shows, man. And I've been, like I said, I peaked well for almost all of them. It wasn't until dealing with weight cap where the peaking has been difficult, but it's the same amount of drugs, and it's a ton of drugs. It's a ton of stress on the body. It's a ton of joints and hips and knees. It does take out of your life. I'm gonna be honest. Like, if anyone's trying to get into the bodybuilding at this level, like, if you're like me, if you were 23 and you want to be the baddest fucking competitor in the entire game, that's what my goal is, and that's what my goal was, and that's exactly what I did. And I know the sacrifices that I've put through my body, and I know the toll that it's taking on my health, and it's already taken on my health. And I know that I'm realistic, and those things can't be reversed, and I'm gonna have to pay the price one day. So, in terms of me being hyper realistic, there is a whole aspect of this sport that people don't see, which is the contractual aspect with sponsorships and business and money and finances. I did want to compete in Japan in December, go to Classic Physique, aligned that with the launch of products, but that deal is seeming pretty difficult to get done right now, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It gives me more time to grow, more time to compete, or even structurize competing or even schedule competing. So yeah, I'm definitely competing again. It's definitely not going to be men's physique, like 100% not. So what else does that leave me? Go back to Classic. And my goal with Classic is not to make it to Olympia. Like, obviously, when juices get flowing and you're 6 weeks out, you feel undeniable. And like, hey, I could go to Olympia. But that's not what my immediate goal is. My immediate goal is to showcase my best. Hard, full, ripped at 220 instead of atrophied and small in men's physique at 205, which is just a ridiculous weight cap. It's easy to make that weight when you're 23. When you're 37, 38, it's, you got so much density. It's difficult. By the way, this video was never supposed to happen today, guys. We were going to do a grocery video, and I just kind of need to get this stuff off my chest. To me, it's more of a therapy session. I'm very open with you guys. I'm very transparent. I want to speak about things that other people aren't speaking about. It's the struggles as a man, struggles as a father, struggle as getting older. There's tons of men in my position with no one to speak to or no outlet. Women don't want to hear it. Your kids don't want to hear it. You got to keep on showing up and being the rock for everybody. And I want to let you know, if you're watching this now and you're feeling these kind of feelings, you're not alone. And it is normal. And I know that because I'm successful and I'm level-headed, and I got a good head on my shoulders, and I'm telling you, even I deal with it. People think I have the best life in the world. Believe me, my life's no different than yours. I was just able to endure with a lot more struggle and consistency and doing the boring shit, and that's why I'm on the top of the sport in bodybuilding. But yeah, thanks for fucking watching. Your support this year means a lot. I'm doing this for my family, my businesses, my sponsors, but most importantly, I'm doing it for myself. Much love, much respect, and peace out.